When we are going to be measuring, the first thing we need to remember to do is figure out what fraction our ruler is measuring in. So that is where we count from one whole number to another to see how many lines are between to figure out our fraction. So here on this ruler, I'm going to count to identify how many lines are in the middle. So I'm going to start at my 1, and then I count the first number: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and my last one on the actual 2, 16. So I'm just going to make a note for myself that I'm measuring in 16th inches. So for my rectangle here, I need to find the perimeter and the area. So I'm going to take my ruler and line it up, and I am looking at my measurement here just below the 7. Looks like a 16th below, so my first measurement is 6 and 15 sixteenths, and I'm just going to take this up and measure up here to see that it's coming out as the same. And now I can take my ruler and measure my other side, and I am looking at 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to say a little bit off, so 2 and 6 sixteenths. So now that I am done measuring for my perimeter, I just need to take my calculator and I can add up all of my sides. Now, if this is too much to type into the calculator, what I suggest is type in the first 2 and the second 2 and then add those numbers together. To find my area, I need to multiply my base and my height. Again, I'm using my calculator. So once again, we are going to measure the shape to find the area and perimeter, still using the same ruler. So just a reminder for myself, I'm measuring in 16th inches. So looking at my first side, I'm looking at a measurement of 6 and 14 sixteenths. I could also write that as 6 and 7 eighths. That would be the same thing. And now to measure my other sides. I'm looking at 3 and 3 eighths, or 3 and 6 sixteenths. So, again, for my perimeter, I'm just going to add my sides. And now for my area, I can see that I will use this side as my base, but I have to remember that I cannot use this as my height. So I need to use my ruler I'm going to draw a straight line. And now I can measure this as my height. and it looks like 2 6/16. So now for my area, I can multiply my base and my height to get my answer. Looking at finding the area and perimeter of irregular polygons, I'm always going to start with the perimeter, because the perimeter for an irregular polygon, just like any other polygon, is at all the sides. So all I need to do to find my perimeter is type into my calculator, adding all of the sides together. Now we need to make sure that we are typing carefully and accurately. And when we do this, I always go back to check one thing. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. I want to make sure that that correlates. Now for the area, we need to keep in mind that to find the area of a rectangle, or the area of any quadrilateral, it's base times height. This shape is not a quadrilateral. So as long as I create quadrilaterals, I can use my formula. Otherwise, we cannot use it. So for here, I am just going to divide it into quadrilaterals to find my area. So now I can see I have a quadrilateral there, another one here, and my last one here. Now there are numbers in here that may or may not be matching what we're finding. So I always suggest to take one rectangle at a time and trace the sides as you write your formula. So for my rectangle down here, I can see that I have a base of 3 and a height of 2.5. Those numbers are still correlating with the correct sides. Now for every calculation, I'm going to use my calculator just to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. For my next area, the large one in the center, I can see my base is here, and that 9 is for this distance here, and my entire side is this distance. So this 9 is not matching what I'm looking for. Now if I look up here, this 18.5 is this for this entire distance. So that's not going to work either. So I can see that the 3 here and the 9 here are going to together create this entire side. So this side would be 12 inches. And that's why it's so important to trace, because it's so easy just to grab this 9. But the 9 is only for this distance. And my height here, the 2 would not be matching. My 8.5 is for this entire length here, so again, it's not matching. But I can see 2 here and 4 here, giving me the distance of 6. Again, it's so important to make sure that you are using the skill of tracing the sides to realize that that 2 and that 8.5 is not representing the length you're looking for. Checking all of my calculations with a calculator, I have 72 here, 7.5, and my last one, this distance is in fact 6.5, and this distance is 4. So I can use my 6.5 times 4, typing into the calculator, getting 26. And so my last step is to simply just add up the 3 different areas that we found for our final answer. Now notice I don't have my place values lined up properly, and that's because I'm typing into the calculator, which we should be using if it's available to us. So our total area is 105.5 square inches. So we have a lot of work to do for this, but we just need to take our time. For this word problem here, I can see that I have Mr. Ehrman ran 2.4 miles on Saturday and 2,500 yards on Sunday. Before I even really look at the question here, when I see these 2 different units of measure, I need to realize that I am going to have to make them the same. Now, when I look at the question, how far did he run all weekend? It's not asking for a specific unit. So I'm going to use the unit that I feel most comfortable in. When looking at my conversion table, I can see that there's really only one measurement conversion that's going to help me. And it's 1,760 feet equals 1 mile. Because any other conversion has measurements that I am not using. Therefore, they are useless. So here, I'm going to change my miles to yards. So 2.4 miles equals blank yards. Now I know I'm either going to multiply by 1,760 or divide. You may already know which operation is correct, but even if you don't, if you look at both answers, you should know. I know that I need more yards for the same distance. So this is going to be the correct operation that we're doing. I get 4,224 yards. If I were to divide this would be our answer. And that just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to go back into the word problem and totally rewrite it, because I don't want to think about miles anymore. Now I can focus on the question. Mr. Ehrman ran 4,224 yards on Saturday and 2,500 yards on Sunday. How far did he run all weekend? I know that I just need to add up my 2 measurements. Using my calculator, getting a total of 6,724 yards.